So,
I was like, hold up.
you're like, wait a minute. Okay, so
Yeah, I knew that because they're
early asthma attack. I can't smell. Someone help me. Okay. We're blowing off all of our CO2. So we're respiratory alkalosis with no compensation. Okay. That's just early asthma. Okay. Then we have these other issues that will be respiratory acidosis, but these will not be compensation because they're not chronic. So these are more acute issues. This is acute, this is acute. What we have here is we have respiratory arrest. Is that, does she have that on there? Yes, respiratory arrest, pneumonia, and then a late asthma. Okay, so at this point, with asthma at least, you have pooped out. You can no longer hyperventilate. So now you're not having fast respirations, you're holding on to all CO2, and you're becoming very acidic. Pneumonia, maybe you can't breathe, you're having trouble breathing. Respiratory arrest, you definitely cannot breathe. Okay, so we're holding on to CO2. So we're going to see respiratory acidosis, because now we're holding on to the CO2, and we're not going to have compensation. Because our kidneys take so long to work. Stupid kidneys. Okay, now if we have a chronic issue, just move these bad boys right over. So chronic, this will be cystic fibrosis and COPD. And if you can't remember it, just think C is chronic, cystic fibrosis, and COPD. Those are our C's. We will have, we'll still be in an acidic state because we're not breathing as well. Okay, but we might have full or partial compensation because by now our kidneys will be like, oh, so they're living in a chronically hypoxic state. Maybe we should help out a little bit. Full or partial. Does that make sense? So if she gives us an ABG, we want to look at it, we look at the numbers. We start with that mid mark. We go up here. Damn it. We look at, is it, on which side of it, of 7.4 is it? This is the initial number that we look at. We're like, okay, 7.4 is, so say it's 7.2. So we're acidic. So we have one acid. Actually, what I need is, I need some sample ABGs. Can I still send the sheet?
These are the answers too.
Okay, this one should be fine. So let's say we have 7.23. What is that? We look at this mid mark to determine. So it's acid. So now we need to find a pair for it. The other values we have up here is PCO2 is 60, and then HCO3 is 24. Okay. 0.2. Is it greater than 45? Yes. So this is also an acid. So we have identified this as our matching. So we know it's respiratory acidosis. Now we want to figure out, have our kidneys gotten the message yet, and have they worked out that they're going to respond? Is that in range? Yeah, so the kidneys are being a dumbass and they don't realize that they need to respond. So we have respiratory acidosis with no compensation, because this number is still normal. Let's say this number was 32. We know we're still in respiratory acidosis. Have our kidneys responded? Good, and what have they done? They've gone in the opposite direction because they're greater than 26. So we have respiratory acidosis with compensation. Are we back into this? When we go back to see if the compensation is full or partial, we look at the big number. Is it in these values? Is it between 7.35 to 7.45?
No.
No, so we know we have compensation, but it's not complete. We have partial compensation. Let's say that this number was 7.36. we're still in respiratory acidosis, okay, because it's less than 7.4. We have compensation, so let's go back to the big picture. Is it in these values here? Is it between 7.35 and 7.45?
Yes.
Good. So we have respiratory acidosis with full compensation because we've brought it back to this value range. So this is our starting point, and then this is our big picture. This is the last step we take. We come back to the big picture to see what kind of compensation do we have. Is it full or partial? Does that make sense? Okay. Good. And I finally recorded an accurate video so that you guys don't have to be